is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Run It Back on the Kansas City Sports Network. I am your host, Jazsmin Halliburton, and joined with me is none other than Colby Van Camp, the newly graduate of Kansas State. Colby Van Camp, you better recognize and put some respect on this man's name. Colby, thank you so much for being able to join me so late tonight.
No, it's all good. Thanks for having me. And I have one more semester before I'm that newly minted graduate, but I'm close. I'm really close. So thank you.
Yeah,
it's all
good enough. It means we graduate at the same time now, so let's go.
Yeah, there we go.
You're overly excited because I'm the one who's ready to get damn done with this damn degree, but it's okay. I digress. All right. But Colby, I know we're trying to make this quick and everything because obviously y'all know why we here. Y'all know why we here. This is the talk of the town, and I think they will continue to be the talk of the town in Manhattan, Kansas. They are cementing themselves as the best team in Manhattan, Kansas right now, and that's K-State women's basketball. And honestly, Colby, it's not close. It's not close on a national stage more than once with one of the best players in the country. K-State women's basketball is it, and the Bramlage needs to keep filing in with all the students. I understand it's winter break or whatever, but this is the best team. And honestly, I'm gonna say Kansas. I'm gonna say the entire state of Kansas. Am I gonna piss some people off with that? Probably. Do I give a damn? Hell no, because I'm standing on that 10 toes down. You feel me? Because I really don't see people can argue with me if they want to, but I don't think they'll have a legitimate one.
No, I don't think they'd have much of a legitimate argument as well. I mean, Kansas State, they're number 12. You have an All-American in Ayoka Lee, who was a previous All-American on a collision course for another All-American season. And you can't forget about folks like Gabby Gregory and Serena Sundell, but Ayoka Lee is really starting to take over the show and just dominate people and dominate teams. Case in point, this last week, what was it? She had 24 points and 21 rebounds or something absurd. Set the program double record. And she's on pace to set a whole collection of other records as well. And it's just absolutely absurd, the work that they're doing in Manhattan. After coming off of really a disappointing season last year, to be 11-1, ranked number 12. And frankly, there's an argument that a couple things go their way and you're looking at 12-0 and you've beaten Iowa twice, which is absolutely crazy to just say in a sentence, considering the level of basketball that Iowa is playing right now, especially with their star player, Caitlin Clark. But just the way that Kansas State has dominated teams over the last couple of weeks, I mean, just some scores for you, starting with December 1st, just this month, the month of December, you knock off Jackson State 79-37. Then you destroy McNeese 101-39. You demolished Missouri 84-56 in the Bill Smatter Classic. Then you get North Florida 79-53, and then you dismantle Oral Roberts 102-59. I mean, it's really not even close. And I get that some of these are mid-majors teams, but I'm really excited to see how Kansas State does in conference play, because the Big 12 is a deep league, not only in men's basketball but in women's basketball. But Kansas State has the opportunity to do something really special here, and is a Big 12 championship berth potentially in their future? I don't know. But if they keep doing what they're doing to these non-conference opponents, then it's definitely in their future. And I definitely think they're a tournament team. I don't think that you can count them out of the NCAA tournament at all at this point.
Exactly. And I know earlier on in the season, when you see these teams like Iowa or South Carolina or UConn play these mid-major teams, you obviously know that those teams that I just listed, they are cream de la creme. They are the top of the list of the teams that, knowing when you put a mid-major team in front of them, they will dismantle them piece by piece and leave nothing but crumbs left on the plate. You see that in the score total. You see that, all right, yeah, them scoring, well over 90 points and in the triple digits. That's what they're supposed to do. And I always felt like, you know what? If K-State needs to cement themselves early, even though they've already had a pretty tough non-conference schedule, of course, when you add Iowa twice, then North Carolina, and then Wisconsin, and all these other really good teams that they've been playing. I'm going to add Jackson State in there as well, even though we did end up dismantling them, but that was a team that took down some giants last year and made it all the way to the NCAA tournament, which K-State unfortunately did miss. So that was another team that they had to take apart. But how they are able to play these mid-major teams, when you can hang up triple digits on these other teams that you are supposed to dismantle, that's how you know that this is a program that's supposed to be where they're supposed to be. It's like, sure, you can beat this mid-major team, say, 70 to, 50. It's like 70 to 50. It's still a good win. And yeah, that's cool, but that's not the most dominant thing to let you know that, yeah, this is not a team that can, run up the score, or this is not a team that can necessarily average 85 points when you get to conference play. Now that has consistently grown throughout this non-conference, where we knew that offense was going to struggle. I know I'm beating it like a dead horse, but you knew earlier on in the season, offense was probably going to struggle a little bit, and that's pretty much what had happened. I know Gabby Gregory, she's been battling some injuries, so her scoring prowess hasn't been exactly where it was last season compared to right now. But now that you see her getting back into it, obviously you see Yoki doing what Yoki does. That's given. All right, and then of course you see the Glenn twins being the 3-and-D that they are, playing defense, shooting pull-up threes. All right, and then of course you still see Serena Sundell being the distributor that she is, and then be like kind of paving the way for Terrence Sides. Right, this is a team that you see that can literally, we've seen it twice already, hang with some of the best teams in the country, and dare I say, they're making it look effortlessly.
Yeah, they really are making it look effortless. I mean, like you said, when you think of a South Carolina, or you think of a Baylor, or you think of really one of those prestigious programs that have national championships in women's hoops in the NCAA level, Division I level, you think about scores like 101-39 versus a McNeese, or 102-59 versus an Oral Roberts. But don't look now. That's Kansas State, right? So I agree with you entirely. If you need to start moving into that kind of rarefied air, clearly you have to win some championships. And this team has not done that. This team has not done that in some time. They haven't won the conference in some time, and they haven't come close to winning a national championship. In fact, Kansas State as a women's basketball program has kind of underperformed in the NCAA tournament in general. But this might be the team that gets that particular monkey off their back, right? Because just of the way that they're dismantling people, we haven't seen that in 20 years. I mean, this is clearly one of the best teams in program history. I don't know if I'm prepared to say that it's the best team yet, but if they continue the way that they are, then they're very close to being the best, if not the best team. And I was looking ahead in their schedule, especially their conference schedule, and they get a couple of early kisses. If you think about this, you get Houston at home on January 3rd, you get Oklahoma at home on January 10th, and then there's really two programs that you need to get by if you're going to be in conference championship contention, and that's Texas and Baylor. And you get Texas at home on January 13th, number 5 Texas. And then you only play Baylor once. So to me, that says that that's a must-win game. You have to beat Baylor if you want to be in the conference tournament race. And that's actually on my birthday, on January 22nd, number 10 Baylor at Baylor. So happy birthday to me, ladies. I'm totally in for an early birthday present. If you just want to commit to crushing those guys down in Baylor, I'm all about that. But I think that this is a team that has the potential to be a conference champion and potentially make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. And like you said, it starts with the way that you handle your mid-majors opponents. The men's basketball team has struggled with their mid-majors opponents, right? And that's kind of shown, and that's shown where their holes are in their game. Kansas State doesn't have a whole lot of holes in their game right now on the women's basketball side. And I think the most impressive, and clearly because of just the rankings by itself, when you talk about the program and the program history, right, there are two teams that come to mind. Iowa at Iowa. That was the first big test. You beat Iowa back-to-back. You beat them last year in Bramlage, knock off a top 5 team, and you go to Iowa City, you knock off Iowa, top 5 team at home in a very hostile environment. It was packed. There were thousands of people there. And then just a couple of weeks later, you get number 18 North Carolina. That's not a bad program either. And you beat them by 30 points. So, or not 30 points, by 15 points ish. Sorry, I was looking at the 5 and thought it was a 4. I need to get my glasses fixed up here, but it's impressive. That's a number 18 North Carolina team, and you played them at home. So Kansas State, they need to take advantage of their early home kisses that they get on the schedule, but I think this could be a really exciting time for K-State women's basketball.
Oh no, for sure. This is a time. Well, no time like the present. I really want to say, because this is being obviously cemented by Ayoka Lee, who is a senior. I don't know if she would still have a COVID year. Honestly, everything is so blended together that honestly, I'm just gonna wait until the athletes say something if they are or not coming back. Because As I understand it, she does have an extra year, but whether she chooses to use it or not, I don't know. Right. So if she decides to use it like this year and next year, that's the window. That is the window. Some I know coming across an all-American generational talent, it's hard to do. Okay, it's really, really hard to do. And when you're trying to be one of the top programs like the ones I just listed earlier, yeah, it takes some history to be able to get to where they are. There's no one that can just flip on a dime and just all of a sudden win a national championship. Not in at least not in women's basketball. These are dynasties that are being made, right? And so I mean, if Coach Mitty is able to find him another one, then hell yeah. But you can't fully rely on being able, because it's gonna be real hard trying to find another Yoki, right? So this year, and if she decides to come back next year, while you still have you could have everyone returning, obviously except for Gabby Gregory, because I think this is her final year. You have everybody returning. So even next year could possibly be even good, but I can't even look at that because, everything, things happen, transfers happen, everything happens. Even though I'm just saying it out loud, it's getting me excited just in case we don't reach where we need to reach you this year. There is always next year, but we need to focus on the present. Got to focus on the present because this is a team that is dismantling mid-majors, has played really, really well against Power 5 opponents and either beaten them or have only lost by 7, I think, to Iowa when they played them in the tournament in Florida. And the second time around, I want to say less than 2 weeks. It might have been just at a week playing them again. And they've been able to show everybody, this in the entire country, that they're going to hang with everybody. And honestly, I can't wait for them to hurry up and pack this non-conference up. Because because I'm getting too comfortable. That's the thing. I'm getting too comfortable because I know all right, how am I what they gonna put on tonight, sort of thing. I understand that nothing's gonna be easy, and I also understand that I guess we have a little bit of I don't want to call it a cakewalk necessarily, but not the meat of our schedule to start out the conference. When you do add Houston and I think you said Cincinnati as well. And UCF, yeah, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF in that order, right? New programs to the Big 12, got that. And I know if you really want to focus, you're going to focus on Oklahoma, Texas, TCU, and Kansas, and Baylor, because after those 3 newbies that you play, it's getting serious. It's getting real serious. So they can still bring that offensive energy to be able to take care of business, not only when they play Southern, but also when they play, the new teams of the Big 12. You got to know that offensively, they going to do what needs to be done. Defensively, it's not going to be a question. I have every faith defensively that they're going to handle what they need to handle. But them starting out with conference play, that's when things will get tested. And we'll be right back talking more K-State women's basketball. But of course, before we get to that, please hit up homefieldapparel.com. Get you your shirts, get you your hoodies, get you your hats, whatever you feel like you want to get. Go ahead and hit up Home Field Apparel to go and get it. And also, shout out to Studio Wax. Shout out to my girl, Kylie. You need anything head toe wax? She is the girl to call on Studio Wax. We'll be right back on Run It Back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
All right, we back. We obviously talked a whole lot about K-State women's basketball, but that's what we still going to do because I said they are the best team in Manhattan right now, and they are the best team in Manhattan right now. You feel me? So we talked about Colby just the pure dominance that they're able to use on these smaller mid-major teams that they just ain't really got no chance. Especially anything after the first quarter, they might as well go home. I understand the first quarter has been a little bit of a struggle for offensively for K-State. I know it was a bit of a struggle when they played yesterday. I think it was the computer that just died on me, my laptop that just died on me. It was, I want to say, like 7. It was like a 2-point game at the end of the first quarter. It was a low scoring 2-point game at the end of the first quarter, which has unfortunately been very consistent with K-State women's basketball this season. But then second quarter, yeah, all right, that's when they stopped playing with their food, and they had a 30-point second quarter followed by a 30-point third quarter. And it was, of course, once they get rolling, they're not going to stop. That's how, I know there's been offensive struggles, but once they start, it's like everything follows suit. When they see the ball go in the holes 2 straight possessions, that's it. It takes 2 straight possessions for them to score, and they're not going to stop. And I understand Yoki being the catalyst for that, especially in yesterday's game. I know early on, just like the offense in general, like I was saying, she was struggling just a bit because, they were triple teaming her. Nothing that she hasn't seen before, obviously. But because the refs were letting them play. This was a really physical game. They were playing last night, right? It was a really physical game, and she even got blocked early on in the low block. She got blocked early on, and Yoki's her shot maybe has been blocked. I can probably count on one hand her entire career how many times she's been blocked, right? And they were playing her really physical. They were triple teaming her down there. They had some turnovers early on, but I feel like this is the toughest someone has played her since she's been back on injury. And I'll be honest with you, Colby, I think that pissed her the hell off. I truly think that pissed her the hell off because her energy changed. Her energy she seemed to change just ever so slightly in that second quarter. They'd be like, all right, because she started chasing down rebounds a lot more. Is obviously, Colby, you mentioned it earlier. She had 21 rebounds, 53 career double-doubles. That's a new K-State record, and she's going to add more. And she was, I think, 1 rebound away from tying the in-game rebounding record that was held by Peyton List back in 2021. She was going after rebounds more in this game than I think she's had this entire season so far. I know the past couple of games, I was looking at it before my laptop died with all the stats on it. She had before last night's game, her highest was, I think, 12 rebounds on the season. Okay, beforehand, she was getting obviously double-digit points, whatever, easy money. 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds here, 3 rebounds that one night. She almost had another double-double against Mizzou, but she ended up getting 9 rebounds. Stuff like that. I'm like, all right, that's not she hasn't been rebounding like we know that she can be, but she hasn't had to. They've literally been beating people's ass like that. She didn't have to chase after rebounds. But something about yesterday, something about the team that they played just really pissed her off because of how physical they were playing her. And she was like, all right, let me sit y'all little asses down and let me get a double-double before halftime. That type of disrespect I was sensing from her, Colby.
Yeah, I was kind of sensing that too. I didn't end up catching all of the game. I got parts of it. But if that's the way that Ayoka Lee is going to start playing when teams start doubling and tripling her, then all bets are off, because you better believe that when you get to conference play, the teams are going to double and triple her. She's too dynamic of a player. I mean, when you're looking at the statistics, you see she averages 20.9 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, and 2.1 blocks per game. She shoots 67% from the floor, 68%. That's all pretty, I don't want to say pedestrian, but there are a lot of people that are shooting those kind of numbers. Here's where it gets crazy. She only averages 24.5 minutes per game. So that's not the full game. It's just like a quarter and a half, right? Or two and a half quarters of a game is how long Ayoka Lee is playing. So that says a couple of things to me. First of all, Coach Mitty is keeping her fresh, because they understand how important Ayoka Lee is, that they need to get her in and out. They need to get her some time on the bench, let her rest, and get her back in the game, get her most quality minutes that they can get consistently without burning her out in the early part of the season when you still got a really tough stretch to go in conference play. That's the first thing. The second thing is that she's dominant in small sample sizes. I'm excited to see what she does with even more extended minutes when she gets to conference play. She's dropping 20.9 points per game. Now, granted, they're kind of inferior opponents, but not so much. You got a couple of not inferior opponents on that schedule that Kansas State has wins against. But if you start putting Ayoka Lee for the full time or for a large percentage of the full game during conference games, who knows? Who knows? And if that's all it takes to get her motivated to start ripping down 20 rebounds a game, is to double and triple team her, then that there's a historic season that's already in the making for her with these current numbers. And if that's all it takes, then there's an even more historic season in favor for Ayoka Lee, Kansas State basketball, and NCAA history too.
I mean, like, because I get like Coach Mitty is trying to make sure get her minutes right, because even like early on, this is like an entire year without basketball. Even like the very first exhibition game, I think that was like the first like bit of 5-on-5 basketball that she's ever really played, right? So obviously it's going to take some time, and taking time to rest her, and especially this is a stretch where I think they have like 3 games in 5 days. Their game coming up against Southern, that'd be their final game within this like 5-day stretch. That is like before they start really getting into the nitty gritty with conference schedule. So I highly doubt that she's going to play a whole lot of minutes against Southern as well. But I mean, we've been able to see her. I didn't watch the second game against Iowa because it was on Flow Stream or whatever whatever dumb stuff that it was on that I was not able to watch. And if I was able to watch it, it would have been probably illegally. But either way, still even like a whole 40 minutes. We've seen her do that against Iowa the first time in Iowa City. She didn't play the whole 40 minutes, but she played more in that game than she probably had. Oh my goodness, shut up, Siri. Damn. Anyway, she played more minutes there than like essentially in these other games so far this season. So we know that she can do it, and having to put up these numbers in averaging 24 minutes a game against these inferior opponents, that is really going to help her do it. And know that I don't know if she'll be necessarily playing pissed off, because I don't think that's just not how she plays. I don't know if somebody said or did something on Oral Roberts to make her, put that mug on and really put that cape on that we've seen so many times. But this one just felt a little bit darker, right? Like we've seen her be able to do this, and we've seen her know that this is obviously not going to be a challenge. And honestly, I completely lost my train of thought because Suri interrupted me. But we know that this is not going to be an issue for her. Her minutes, they're going to get more, and they're trying to rest her up and getting this into this conference play that's just going to be absolutely ridiculous, Colby.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, it's worth noting that against Oral Roberts, she missed a couple of easy shots, a couple of easy layups, a couple of jumpers that she probably doesn't usually miss. Still went 11 of 17 from the floor. Had a really pedestrian night shooting free throws, 2 of 7, 6 offensive rebounds, 15 defensive rebounds. And then here's just something that Ayoka Lee aside. Ayoka Lee's a great player. Ayoka Lee is an All-American, a multi-time All-American, all-conference player, MVP, right? Like Ayoka Lee is clearly your most valuable player. But let's take a look at what the Cats do as a team, right? Against Oral Roberts, Kansas State shot 49.4% from the floor. They shot 34.5% from 3. They went 10 of 29. So that's 30 points from 3-point land by themselves. And Gabby Gregory went 3 of 8 from behind the line. And then free throws. Not great on free throws, 54.5%. They went 12 of 22. But that 49.4%, that speaks offensive volumes to me. If you're getting anywhere close to 50%, 1 out of every 2 times you're shooting the ball, you're making the shot. So that's a great stat line. On the flip side, you talk about the defense, and you mentioned some stuff about the defense that I hope you'll expound upon a little bit. Because I haven't watched women's basketball religiously, but I have kept up with it. Usually women's basketball plays when I have a class, so I'm not able to keep up with it live, but I sneak CBS in the middle of qualitative research methods, right? And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But Oral Roberts, they shot only 28.4% from the floor. They went 19 of 67, 25% from 3. They only hit 4 of 16. And then they did go 17 of 22 from the free throw line, so 77%. But Kansas State as a defensive squad, and offensively, you can have individual efforts. Defensively, you need the whole team, right? There's no eye and team on the defensive side of the ball. And Kansas State has just really stuffed and stymied opponents that either probably they wouldn't have in previous years, or are teams that you probably wouldn't anticipate them to because of the high caliber and the high power that they are. And that speaks volumes to me. Probably even more than the offensive fireworks, because when it comes into conference play, and we've been talking about all the success they've had over the non-conference play, and that's great, because that's a great thing to hang your hat on. You have a couple of really quality wins, but none of that matters with conference play, right? It helps your NCAA tournament bit, right? But with the conference play, that's what you're going for, to get you into the tournament and to win a conference championship. And to do that, you got to play defense. And so if Kansas State can keep up this clip of defense that they have going on, that's going to be really exciting to see how they're able to body some of these really important teams like Texas, like Baylor, like Kansas. I was just looking at the rankings here for the Big 12 a moment ago. And if like TCU, they're 11-0, Texas 11-0, Texas Tech 11-0, West Virginia 11-0, Baylor 9-0. Those are all teams that are either in the top 25, in the top 10, or will soon be in the top 25. Kansas State sits right underneath them, 11-1. Their only loss coming to Iowa. Okay, we're 1-1 on the season against them. We'll take it. But those are teams you got to play defense against, right? I mean, you just have to. And if you can't, then it's going to be a really long season, but they're proving it right now that they can, in fact, play defense. And that's an area that they struggled in the past.
Honestly, the defense is what I know that I have full and complete, utter confidence in. Because I think like the highest opponent score total was like 77. And that was against Iowa when they played them the second time. And 34 of those 77 points came from one person. Okay. And that was just Caitlin Clark, because like she's just on absolute demon time, literally against every opponent except for K-State. I don't know what, 1 out of 3 times, right? Like right. That's it. Those are the most points that this team has given up all season. Like, do you know how like difficult that is? Like people can score. Teams can score. And like the highest point total is 77 points, and literally almost half of them, if not exactly half of them, came from one person. And that person being like one of the like one out of the 2 national players of the year. Okay. Like, yo, like that's pretty damn good. That's why them being at 12, like ranked at 12, doesn't really sit fully well with my spirit, because I think that this is a top 10 team. Honestly, you can really argue that they're top 7. Okay. And even more so if you want to say top 5. Will I say it? Probably not. But if someone else does, I'll be like, you know what? I think you might be onto something. Like, that's how confident I am. And it's mainly defense, because I know it hasn't been always where you're that confident in their offense. Not saying that they can't do it. Sometimes shots just don't be falling, or things of that nature, when sometimes like you gotta rely on Yoki having like the highest field goal percentage, because she is freaking 6'6" and nobody's blocking her. All right. And then other times you just need enough time, shots just aren't falling. It is what it is. But what will be counting in and out every single time is that this K-State defense is going to put the clamps on people. And they're going, and I'm not saying it's going to be effortlessly, but they make it look as much. And they've talked about it. I know when I was watching, Brian Smola and of course Missy Heinrich calling the games and everything, like apparently like defense is still on the forefront of Coach Mitty's mind on things like that can be improved. I know Missy brings up 1v1 defense like the past several games that I've been watching of what K-State needs to do, and they need to like work on them playing like 1v1 defense. And like I see every now and again like a couple players struggle here and there, but I mean sometimes you win reps, sometimes you lose reps. You know what I mean? That's just like how it is when you're playing somebody 1v1. But even then, like since I've noticed her call that out, I'm like, okay, now I'm watching it each game. Once again, these smaller mid-majors opponents, but I'm like, nah, they really moving their feet on them. They really shuffling their feet on this defensive end, because they used a whole lot of zone. Like to me last year, I called it a 2-3 zone from hell, because they're like one of the biggest teams in the country, the tallest teams in the country. Like where your point guard is literally 6'2". How many other teams got a 6'2" point guard? Not a whole lot. And you all of them are over 6 foot. And Gabby Gregory, the shortest one out there sometimes in the starting lineup, she's like 5'11", right? So they defensively that 2-3 zone from hell, what I like to call it, they were really, they were shutting teams down with that. And now they went away from that and just straight up started playing man. And that's something that they can still improve on when they're just playing straight up man. And the most points they've given up was 77. And majority of that coming from one person. And you look at the rest, it'd be like, it's like 65 points here, 56 points here, 38, 39 points over here. You're not scoring on them, bro. You're just not doing it.
Well, and I'm glad you said that because while you were talking, I was crunching some of the numbers because ESPN stats didn't say it specifically, but Kansas State on the season has only allowed 52 points per game from opponents, or just over 52 points per game. So impressive. I think that speaks to the defense. And you got a couple of really high-powered teams: number 2 Iowa, number 18 North Carolina, number 5 Iowa. You play Iowa twice. 10 days. That's it. In between your first win and then the second time you play Iowa and you only lose by 7 on a neutral court that you could probably say was a home court because of how well the Iowa fans traveled. Only 7-point loss to number 5 Iowa after you've already beaten them. We'll take it. That's great. That shows improvement for the program. And, I'm glad you brought up the man zone defense because man defense just brings different complexity to the game in the way that you have to guard people, in the way that it sets up different offenses for you that you have to prepare for. And I think you probably force teams to play your game in man defense more than you force them to play your game in zone defense, right? In zone defense, it's more about the team effort. How can I help you, right? And it's predicated on like keeping people on the outside, right? Man defense, not necessarily. Kansas State is okay with letting people on the inside because they know that they're either going to get rejected, like underneath the bucket, they're just going to get rejected, or they're going to have to force to kick it back out because they can't get through the trees. That's interesting. That's an interesting philosophy. I'm very intrigued to see how that works for Kansas State going into conference play. And then you said something earlier about Coach Mitty and his dedication to defense. Coach Mitty's always kind of been a defensive-minded coach, at least in my opinion. And it's interesting because 3 years ago, he has that contract extension. Everybody's like, yeah, this is going really great because he had a great season, just a couple of games short of something really special. Last year, Ayoka Lee goes out, they kind of go in the toilet. It's kind of like, was that the right move? Or were we too hasty in getting that contract extension out there? And then he turns around once he gets his star player back. Bam, look where you're at. 11-1, number 12. You brought up the rankings. I think if you put K-State in the top 5, I'd be like, I don't know about that one quite yet. They have a really couple of quality wins against some really dynamic programs. But it's crazy to go from unranked to top 5 after just a couple of ranked wins, right? There are other teams that have stronger schedules. There are other teams that have better wins or more volume of better wins that have a tougher non-conference schedule. So I don't necessarily think it's a crime that Kansas State's ranked number 12. If they were put inside the top 10, I wouldn't complain about it. I could totally see the logic behind that. They're the top 5. I'd be like, that's nice. I don't know if I buy that, but that's nice. If they knock off a couple of teams like Texas, like a West Virginia, Texas Tech, Baylor, they start beating those guys. A win's a win. But if you handily kind of dismantle a couple of those teams, put them in the top 5. Because those are big time programs with big time teams. So I'm not necessarily concerned about the rankings. But to go back to Coach Mitty, something that he just does is consistency, right? You see consistency in the fundamentals of his team. You see consistency in the way they play defense. You see consistency in their effort. That's something that a lot of teams don't see these days. And you could say that part of it maybe because of the transfer portal. Why would I give a bunch of effort for a team I've only played for 1 year, right? Why am I going to do that? Maybe because you get to spend more time or do whatever. Like there's arguments for and against it, right? But they're college students. At the end of the day, I'm a college student. I got a lot ahead of me. I still totally feel unmotivated to do my classes some days. You know what I'm saying? Like college students have to feel unmotivated to be on the court some days. And you just can't. That's the unfortunate part of the way that basketball goes in today's day and age, or really any sport. But consistency is key, and Coach Mitty has dedicated the program towards moving in a direction consistently. And you can see that in his body of work over the time that he spent at Kansas State, and that consistency is paying off right now here in the 2023-24 season.
Oh, it's absolutely paying off. And you can see it not on, like, obviously, of course, the players that's been here for the past, 3 years, But when you're able to also see that on players that are just like are new to the program, you're able to see that from, Jalissa Sanchez, even though she was here last year, she wasn't able to play due to injury. You're seeing that consistency with Taryn Size, an absolutely superstar freshman, not only like on the team, but like nationally as well, considering as you talk about her assist to turnover ratio, which she leads, by the way. And then also Zayana Walker coming off the bench is you see like the consistency. When when you have your star player off, or when you have your starters off and you bring some players off the bench and you know that there's little to no drop off, boom, there's that consistency that you're talking about, Kobe. When you could see that bleed into the players that was not part of this program in years past. And they're able to do that coming off the bench. That just shows to me that extension that Coach Biddy got was well earned. I get it. We're still early in the season. A lot of things can happen. But at this moment right now, it is looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Once again, Terrence Sides coming off the bench. Bro, she had 10 assists. she had 10 assists coming off the bench, bro. 10 assists, 3 points. And I want to say she ended the night with, I think, 4 turnovers. But she had 9 assists before she got her first turnover of the game. And then those other turnovers that she got, it was dimes that was unfortunately fumbled by the bigs in the post that ended up going out of bounds. She was dropping major dimes. She easily could have finished with 13 assists on the night coming off the bench. But still, it's still that consistency, because Darren Sides dropping 9 to 10 assists, you hear that, and all right, considering that she's been doing this all season coming off the bench, boom, once again, that consistency that you were talking about, Colby. So it is something that everyone will be keeping an eye on, because I am not worried about this team. I've been worried about my fair share of K-State sports and K-State teams, but this one, I'm truly not worried about it. Even if we take a loss somewhere down the road, it's this is a tough road. But knowing that, this is one of those teams where I do not have to panic about, because they've proven to me time and time again that there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, this is a Kansas State team that you win some, you lose some. But I don't ever feel like there'll be a time during the season where they get blown off the court. I don't think that they will ever embarrass themselves in the way that they play. And in previous years, we've seen them embarrass themselves in games that they should have never lost. And it's what was that? You just beat Iowa, and then you turn around and lose to, Iowa State, who's 5-8. What is happening right now? And there's that inconsistency, right? But no, I'm right there with you. I think this is a special team. I think this is a team with the potential to win the conference. I think it's a team with the potential to have a nice deep run in the NCAA tournament. Coach Tang talks about all the time, if you want to go big in the tournament, you have to be a 1 or 2 seed. Kansas State setting themselves up real nice right now to be a 2 seed. If they keep winning, they might be a 1 seed. You never know. Basketball is weird. Sports are weird. There's a lot of season left to be played. But if you put them in the tournament right now, I think there's a strong argument for Kansas State to be a 2 seed. That could really make some noise in the NCAA tournament. So exciting stuff for Kansas State. And with the men's basketball team kind of underperforming right now, Manhattan needs to be jumping, because there's a lot of really quality basketball still being played in the Little Apple, and it has to be with the women's basketball team. So go support them. Why not? If you can't make the men's basketball game, go to the women's basketball game. They're playing really great basketball too. So just go do that.
Just saying, you see them play how they're playing right now. Imagine them with every single butt in seats at Bramlage Coliseum being as loud as they possibly can. You add that with the blood-curdling defense that K-State women's basketball played, and add the crowd behind them. Man, I'm sorry. You might as well lock in that number 1 seed.
All I'll say is that you don't see Iowa City empty for their women's basketball team. Mm-hmm. Iowa was jumping. You don't see Chapel Hill empty for their women's basketball team. North Carolina's jumping. So Kansas State, they got that number 12 in front of them. They've earned it. But let's get Bramlage filled for them as well.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, that has been it for Run It Back. Thank you for sticking with us, talking K-State women's basketball. We got more for them and more from them in the later episodes. But until then, appreciate it.